the Savage Renegauge 12-gauge 3-gun competition shotgun. We're going to talk about it and we're going to shoot it out here. Stick around. Thanks for joining me today while we take a look at the Savage Renegauge 12-gauge competition shotgun intended for the 3-gun shotgun crowd. There's only a couple other dedicated 3-gun type shotguns that are being commercially manufactured. This is probably the newest entrance into that line, and we're going to talk about some of the features on this. Now, Savage has been making shotguns for well over 100 years. They introduced the Renegauge line back in 2020, and they came out with the competition model in the spring of 2021. So it's only been around a little more than a year now. Not a lot of traction on it so far, but maybe there should be. Some people will say, well, wait a minute, the Mossberg JM940 is a good dedicated 3-gun, and a lot of people are using it, and if Jerry Mikulek is using it, one of the best shooters in the world, then that must be the way to go. Well, maybe, maybe not. I just happen to have a 940 here that we're going to compare this with. All right, some of the features on this. One thing I found interesting in doing the research on it is, now this has a 24-inch barrel that is threaded for Beretta/Benelli style chokes. It comes with what they call a light modified, so the actual choke diameter is 0.715, I believe, and it's okay for shooting slugs. I wouldn't shoot slugs out of anything any tighter than a 0.710, but 0.715 is certainly going to be fine for it. Easily removable. Pop a choke wrench on there and you can put in other chokes that are Benelli Beretta designed. It is a fluted barrel, and one thing that I found interesting about the barrel, a lot of barrels are hammer forged. That's the easy way to do it. This supposedly starts out as a stock, a big block of steel, and is drilled, polished, and reamed and then polished and made into a 24-inch shotgun barrel, and then the full-length rib is welded on top of that. So a little different method for doing it. Maybe that relates some to the heft of this. We're going to get into weighing this here in just a couple of minutes. Aluminum receiver that is red Cerakoted. By the way, the inside of this bore is not chrome lined. I'm trying to think it was a melanite finish if I remember right. It could be wrong on that. If I am, I'll make sure I post it down below. But the aluminum receiver is Cerakoted. The full-length magazine tube, which by the way holds 9 rounds of 2 3/4-inch shells, is also Cerakoted. The foregrip is black polymer and does have a swell here right on the front. It depends on how you hold your shotgun. Let's see if I can get around to the other side of it here. So my left hand is actually indexing. I use my left index finger to index right here at the beginning of that swell. Just a natural point for it, and I've got good grip for the rest of my hands on that foregrip. Texture on the pistol grip part of it, yes, this is a polymer receiver. That's how so many guns are going these days. It is a strong polymer receiver, and I have no complaints with it at all. The polymer stock is also interesting. This is probably the only 3-gun shotgun direct from the factory that is as adjustable as this one is. Now, we'll talk more about the Mossberg in just a couple of minutes, but you can't adjust that as much as you can on this. It has 3 different combs on it. You can change the height, the cheek height on this by as much as 3/4 of an inch. It has 3 different butt plates on it, and you can go from the stock, I think it's a 14.5-inch length of pull trigger to butt stock, to just over 15 inches by changing those. A nice soft recoil pad to it. You don't really have to have it on this gun because it's a fairly soft shooting gun with the dual gas port system that Savage is using on it. Let's see, it does have a sling swivel on the back. Does not have one on the front, but I'm sure that could be added if you're going to use a sling on it. 3-gun, I'm not sure you're going to use a sling. Police shotgun, quite obviously I would. It is drilled and tapped. Hope you can see it there for a rail if you want to put an optic on it. Has a high-vis orange front sight, which is, see if the camera will pick that up, which is actually somewhat triangular in shape and seems to work really, really well for me. Crossbolt type safety behind the trigger, so pushing it to the right is in the safe position. Pushing it to the left, you can see the orange ring around there, a red ring that shows that it is in the fire position. We'll also weigh the trigger here in just a couple of minutes. All in all, a relatively interesting. Oh, one other thing on the stock, it does come with spacers that you can put between the stock and the frame, and you can adjust the drop by at the heel by as much as a ½ inch, and you can also adjust the cast. And again, you don't normally see that in anything except premium shotguns or custom fitted shotgun stocks. So it does have a lot of adjustability to it that you just don't see. All right, so question is, let's talk about weight and let's talk about trigger weight. Let me grab the spring scales. All right, like I said, this is it's a hefty shotgun. See if I can find a place to put the scale on it here. All right, so that's tipping the scale at, what do I see here? 9.79 pounds unloaded. Obviously with 9 plus 1, it's going to be a little more than that. All right, so let's bring out the Mossberg 940 JM Pro, another 3-gun shotgun. All right, I'm showing 7.12, 7.13. So obviously a couple of pounds lighter than the Savage. All right, we're going to try the trigger on this. Put it in the fire position. You did see that it was unloaded, and trigger gauge is at 0. And that pulled off at 3 pounds, 5.9 ounces. Let's do it one more time. All right, safety is in the, safety was partially on. There we go. Let's try it again. 3 pounds, 13 ounces. So 3 3¾ ounces out of just 2 pulls on this. And let's just see what the Mossberg is. Okay, again, you can see that it is empty. Nothing goes in when I close the action. Top tang safety on the Mossberg, which is one feature I actually kind of like on this. You can get it either right hand or left hand, or obviously you could get it with either your right or left hand. It is ambidextrous just because of that top tang. All right, see how the trigger works. It is in the fire position, and that comes out 2 pounds, 4 ounces. Let's try that one more time. And 3 pounds, 2 ounces on that pull. So again, I didn't do any kind of a 5-pull average. It does feel like the trigger on the Mossberg is just a hair better, but and I guess now's the time to get into a story about why I have that Savage and how it came to be. Ann Arbor Arms puts on an annual trap shoot for its members, and that happened last Saturday. They have a different vendor each time. Benelli was out one time. CZ was out one time. This time Savage came out. The Savage rep came out, brought a whole bunch of guns, including the Renegauge competition model here. And all the members get to do 2 full rounds of trap during the day, and of course lunch the whole bit. Anyway, the Renegauge competition was probably the most popular gun. After everybody else had done shooting, most people had gone for the day. There was still a few people out there from the gun club. Some of the members and the youth team that they sponsor were starting to shoot. A couple of Ann Arbor Arms folks are still out there, and I said, I want to grab it. So I ran 1 round of trap. Now, I'm not a trap shooter. I do some. I've shot 2 rounds of 2 days of trap, so a total of 6 rounds so far this year, and that was back in June. Here we are in October, and I did very little last year. I picked this gun up. I've never shot it before. I didn't pattern it, had no idea where it was going to go, and I ran 25 on a regulation trap range. I was in love with the gun. And again, we'll talk a little bit more about that later. I want to thank Ann Arbor Arms for bringing the gun out, and certainly thank the Savage rep for loaning it to me for a few days so that I could do this review. So speaking of patterning, we're going to pattern the gun, and we are going to do a little bit of trap, but I'm also going to use this a little bit more like a 3-gun shotgun is intended to. Stick around. Let's just see how this Savage Renegauge competition patterns here. I got the shotgun pattern target set up at 24 yards. I would like to do 25. Sometimes these can be patterned at 25 yards for skeet and 40 yards for trap or field. I'm only doing the 24 here because that's where the target is. I got some, let's see, 1 1/8 ounce number 8 shot in here. Should be moving a little better than 1,200 feet per second. And let's just see how this works at 25 for a pattern. 2 shots, looking right down the rib with the black pigeon set right on top of the triangle. There's 1, and there's 2. Let's go see how they look. All right, the pattern is fairly well centered, actually. It's just a hair to the left. That could be me. We've got, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12, maybe 12, and plus one up there. Pellets out to the left. I've got 1, 2, 3, got a few lower right. Fairly well centered, and that's with 2 shots of number 8 shot. Both wads hit to the left of the target there. I can live with that. All right, just for kicks, let's see how this Savage Renegauge does with double aught buck. And same 24-yard distance, same target we already shot on. Let's, just for kicks, see how it patterns at this distance. It's looking actually pretty good. All right, you can see it patterned fairly well. It was actually, I shot where I would normally put the bead for a competition type shotgun, where the bird is right on top of the front sight, or actually I'd even float it just a little bit. At this distance, this gun was shooting a little bit below point of aim. So at 25 yards, I would want to basically do a center hold target to where the orange is right where I want to shoot. And that'll bring that pattern up just a little bit. But it patterned pretty much consistent with trap loads or target loads, as well as double aught. All right, some things that make this a 3-gun shotgun more specific than your field type shotgun. You want to be able to speed load, and in 3-gun, it's not just how well you shoot, but how fast you can shoot and how fast you can load. And since this only holds 9 rounds plus 1, 10 total, some of the stages in 3-gun are going to be more than 10 rounds. So, all right, so the loading on this is really critical, and I would normally either work over the top, depending on how I'm loading, or work around on the bottom and drop around in and close that from the top, then load from the bottom. And you can see that it's really cut out here on the side. And initially people were doing that, or having that done to their shotguns, just so they could load quicker. Jerry Mikulek had that, actually when Mossberg did the 940 from the 930, they made some of the modifications that Jerry dictated, and this was one. So it also has certainly found its way into the Savage competition. Easy to push down on the follower. There's no notch on the front to catch the finger like on an 870, so it's real easy to drop rounds in without getting caught. And I'm not a quad loader, but easy to quad load on this for those who are experienced. One other thing is having an angle on the front that smoothly transitions into the foregrip, so that when you're doing that quad loading, the hand can roll past it without getting hung up. Really a nice touch, and that's what you're going to find on a dedicated 3-gun type of shotgun. Oversized controls, oversized bolt handle, and easy to access slide release. All right, to unload this shotgun, you can unload from the bottom, much like a Remington. Remington 870 has 2 different tabs on the inside. This only has 1, but I don't know if you can see it in the camera or not. Push down on the elevator or loading feed ramp with your finger, and then push that 1 shell catch on the side, and that round comes out. Lift up on it just a little bit, and lo and behold, you've got a round out without having to run it through the chamber. So again, press down on the feed ramp and sideways on the shell catch, lift up on the base of the shell a little bit, and that round is out without having to do the old rack through the chamber that I've seen other people do, and sometimes it goes bang when they do that. So a safe way to unload this shotgun. All right, for 3-gun shooting, you're going to have a variety of loads, potentially some target type loads, maybe some heavier loads, and also some slugs, potentially all on one stage. And with a gas system like this, it says it'll run anything from the lightest target loads to the heaviest of field or hunting type loads. So I've got, let's see, the first 2 shots that come out of this are going to be the stuff that I use when I shoot trap, light target load, 7.5 shot. Then I got a couple of slightly heavier number 8 shots. Then I've got a couple of double aughts, and then I've got 2 slugs at the end. We're going to start out here at the 12-yard range. Put the first 2 targets on the silver silhouette here. Then run 2 plates. Then go over to the 25-yard line and put 2 on the black silhouette with the head flipper on it. That leaves me the 2 slugs. I've only got 1 target that I can shoot slugs at 50 yards. That's going to be kind of a reddish one off to the right of the normal rack of targets. And I have no idea where this is going to shoot at 50 yards, but I'm going to give it a try. Safety is off. And let's see. First round is in. By the way, if you can, I'll put the safety back on. This gun is dirty. This went through at least 250 rounds, so 10 rounds of trap probably on Saturday. I have not cleaned it. And we're gonna see how it's gonna continue to run. All right. We're gonna, again, start on the silhouette here, then go over to 25, and then out to 50. Here we go. All right, I don't know if I hit it or not. Have to look at the camera and see if I did. All right, it ran all different levels of shot out of this thing, and bolt held open after the last round. I think I kind of like it. So I want to show you one more thing about this Renegauge. All right, before I go over there and show you one more thing that's to me important about the Savage. I'm going to do the exact same shooting sequence with the Mossberg 940 JM, and I've got the gun loaded up exactly the same way. I'm going to shoot the same sequence and see if I can give a subjective opinion on the difference in feel between the two. Top tang safety helps if I run around in. All right, that's the Mossberg. See if I can get that round centered. Okay, it's loaded up. Let's continue to see what I can do over here at 25. And let's take it out to slug, 50 yards. All right, we had the one hang up on it, which doesn't lend to me a lot of confidence. Some people say, hey, Jerry Mikulik can shoot the 940, it's his gun, that's what he shoots. He's also got the entire Mossberg staff behind him, probably has multiple guns, and has the gun totally gone through before each match. I don't have that luxury, nor do you. So we did have the one hang up. Now, is that going to be unusual? I don't know. I don't have a lot of experience with the Mossberg, but I've seen other reviews online where there have been problems with it. Haven't had the problem yet. And again, that's probably 250 plus rounds out of the Savage Renegauge so far without cleaning it, and it's still running 100%. Now, subjective recoil. The Savage is a heavier gun, and to me there's less felt recoil to it. The actions to me are both working about the same as far as the feel of the action, but again, I think that the heavier gun certainly makes for less felt recoil. And it's not like you're walking out in the field. You need a 6-pound shotgun because you're carrying the thing all day long. Let's turn this off. So having a 9-pound gun versus a 7-pound gun for 3-gun, to me, not a big deal. Even for trap shooting, my 725 is a fairly heavy gun, but I'm only holding up for 20 seconds at a time, and that's it. Not a big deal. So I think that the additional weight on the Savage certainly helps mitigate what little recoil there is. Now, there is more certainly shooting a slugs. Most of your stages for 3-gun, from what I've seen, are not going to be slug oriented. But I do want to move the camera because I got one more thing I want to show you on this. All right, here is the Savage Renegauge Competition that belongs to the Savage Rep that I borrowed for the week and has been shot a whole lot. One other thing. I liked it enough, without even doing this review yet, without putting all the different ammo through it, just after that experience up at the Grass Lake Sportsman's Club with that Renegauge, I really, really, really like that shotgun. So, I have another one. Actually, I have one now, even though I'm going to give this one back to the rep. Here's how it comes. I took it out, looked at it, felt it. Did work a little bit with the various combs on this, and it does come, let's see, as I said, with, these are still in the plastic, but 2 different adjustable butt plates on it. 2 different height combs. The one thing I didn't mention earlier is these are soft on the top, so they're not beating my cheek up at all. I found that with the buttstock or butt plate and the comb that came on this gun, it works perfectly for me. I'm not changing the cast, the drop, the cheek height, the pull length, any of that at this point. It all works for me. However, the adjustability is there, and this is probably the only shotgun that'll do that I know of. Comes with the usual other paraphernalia, a little bit of an instruction manual. However, the one, I guess if I had to complain about anything on this gun, is the instruction manual is very, very, I won't say it's sketchy. It handles it what it needs to handle for the gun itself, but it doesn't get into anything for this particular gun. It doesn't talk about chokes, doesn't talk about how to replace the cheek weld piece or the buttstock, how to work the act. Doesn't talk about any of that stuff specific to this gun. So a little bit of digging, and I found it. I may end up, if anybody's interested, I may end up doing a review. Let me know in the comments down below if you'd like to see one on specifically how to change the cheek piece, the buttstock, put in the different spacers for the stock, for cast, etc. If you want to see that, let me know. I haven't had to change anything. But again, there's nothing in the manual on specifically how to do that. Also, this only comes with 1 choke. If I remember right, the Mossberg might come with 3, although this 1 choke is quite suitable for everything that we have to do for 3-gun. You can get more chokes, Carlson, Mueller. There are a number of other companies that make Benelli Beretta specific chokes that'll work for this. And since I now own it, I am going to get a couple other chokes to try them out. But so far, the light modified is working well. Comes in this really nice, large, heavy, hard case. And again, this is my Savage Renegauge Competition. Long video. I know, well, you know that some might have a tendency to go long anyway, but I really wanted to get some of the details in that I haven't seen on any of the other reviews of this gun. I wanted to compare it with a 940. Again, 940 is lighter. The trigger seems to be just a little lighter, but I don't notice that in the kind of shooting that I'm doing with the shotgun. That one hang-up worries me just a little bit. All of the features that are necessary for 3-gun that the 940 has, the Savage has, and then some. So the big elephant in the room is, what about cost? Let me adjust the camera a little bit and we'll talk more about cost. All right, this is not a cheap shotgun, but then again, if you really want to compete at a high level in 3-gun, you're going to spend $2,500 or more on a good handgun for it with an optic. Can you get by with something like a $600 Canic with a $200 optic on it? Sure, you can. But if you really want to compete, you're probably going to have to step up your game a little bit. Can you get by with a $1,000 carbine or rifle with a $200 optic on it? Probably, but again, if you want to compete, you're still talking that your rifle setup is going to be $3,000 plus. So is $2,000, actually $2,089, I believe is the MSRP for this Savage Renegauge Competition. Is that too much? Well, it is, and that's why you can find these pretty much all day long for around the $1,800–$1,900 bracket. Now, that still is a lot of money to some, especially when they look at the JM 940 and they see that they can generally, even though it retails for I think north of $1,000, you can generally pick those up for probably around $950. So somebody's going to say, wait a minute, why is the Savage so much better? A couple of things. If you look at something like the Benelli M2, and you can get the Pro Shop one, you're going to be north of $2,000 to have most of the features, but not all, that you've got on the Savage. Savage has more features than a Pro Shop Benelli M2. You can look at the what is it, the Beretta 1301, I believe. It's a competition model, but again, you need to do work on that to make it the same as the Savage, or even the Benelli for that matter. You can pick up the Beretta for $1,400. By the time you get the work done on it to make it the same, you're in the $2,000 bracket, and it still isn't going to be the same gun. If you find a Remington Versamax, again, if you can find one of those things, you're going to be north of $1,000 to start with, and by the time you get everything done that you want to make it into a good 3-gun, you're still going to be somewhere around the $2,000 bracket. So is $2,000 for a shotgun too much, and is that too much for the again, the Savage Renegauge Competition? And my answer to that is you pay for what you get, or you get what you pay for. And is the JM 940 going to work? Sure. Is it going to be okay as a $1,000 gun? Sure. Is it going to be as reliable? I don't know. Is it going to shoot just as well? Probably, but it's not going to be as adjustable to fit you. It doesn't have the adjustable comb. It doesn't. It does have the adjustable butt plates. You can change length of pull, but you can't change the comb on it. I don't know if there are spacers in there to change cast, heel drop, things like that. But other than that, yeah, it's going to work. I'm just a little concerned about reliability. Savage, a little more money. Again, I like it enough. I bought one from Ann Arbor Arms. I didn't get any discount or deal from Savage. It's mine. That's how much I like it. All right, a long-winded video, I understand. Hope you stuck with me, and really, if you did, I really appreciate that. It certainly helps the algorithm. I don't know if there's any way I can condense this during editing, but we'll see. That is the Savage Renegauge Competition 12-gauge 3-gun out here on Riders Range. Thanks for stopping in. I'm using the same 1 1/8 ounce number 8 shot loads that I used to pattern this. We're not set up at 16 yards like it would be for a trap range. This electric thrower supposedly throws them about the same speed, but obviously I'm much closer. I got some white flyer orange crush targets in there. Let's just see how they work. You can see some of the recoil on this, and I'm certainly not feeling much of the recoil on it. So let's give it a try with a few birds just to see what happens. I know, straightaway shots, easy to do, right? Okay, that one worked. That seems to dust them pretty good. Not as big of an orange plume as I'd like to see. Yeah, you can see the dust a little on that one. One more. There we go. Whoa. 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 Oh. Whoa. 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 Whoa.
Whoa! 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 Whoa!